And now it's time for Judge Joe Brown. He's the real deal in the courtroom today.
My son brought a pit bull into the house and it attacked me.
She has insurance. I shouldn't have to pay for it.
A woman pays dearly after a run-in with a pit bull named Bones. Plaintiff Patricia Young is suing her son for medical bills. Defendant Samuel Young says the plaintiff's insurance should pay the bills. Now, here's Judge Joe Brown.
Plaintiff alleges that the defendant is responsible to her for an attack committed upon her person by a pit bull.
Yes, sir.
The defendant was going through a divorce, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
He made a request of you to keep this dog because his estranged wife indicated she could no longer keep the dog. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Now, were you comfortable with that, or
no,
were you
sir.
not comfortable with that?
No, sir. Don't like pit bulls, never have. I don't trust them. I don't want them around me.
You have 3 dogs yourself, right?
Yes, sir. I am an avid animal lover.
Oh, but you don't like pit bulls?
No, sir.
The defendant prevailed upon you to keep the pit bull, right?
Kind of. I have a double backyard. And he put Bones, the pit bull, in the far backyard, closed the gate. That's the first time I saw the dog. And I knew it was there because my dogs were going crazy. Once I saw the dog, my heart broke. The dog was almost starved to death. Being an animal lover, disliking pits, I still didn't want the dog to suffer. He wanted to keep the dog and get him healthy. I said, fine, he's not to be loose in the house, he's not to be around my dogs, and I don't want him around me. Well, the dog started getting healthy. We found someone to take the dog. The weekend before the attack, the gentleman that was going to take the dog was called out of town on work, so he was going to get him the following weekend. And that Tuesday, he came strolling down the hallway and decided he wanted to eat my Shar-Pei. And I wasn't going to have it.
Was he supposed to be running loose in the house?
No, sir. The only thing I can figure out was when Sam left, he was keeping him in his bedroom. And the only thing I can figure is that Sam didn't close the door securely.
The dog got out?
The dog got out and made his presence real known in my living room.
And attacked your Shar-Pei. What
Yes,
did you
sir.
do?
I gave my other 2 dogs a command to back up, which they did. I grabbed Brody and Bones.
Bones is the pit bull.
Bones is a pit bull. And I took my knees and I went into them. I kind of played like a baseball player and slid into them, grabbed them by their cuffs, separated them, turned to Bones and said, back up and stay. And when I did that, Bones took my knees out from under me, and next thing I know, I'm on the floor being a chew toy.
So you got bitten more than 100 times, right?
The doctor said it was over 100 times in both arms.
And I can see the puncture marks on your arms. Okay, so they took you to the emergency room, right?
Yes, sir.
Then you had to go back the next day and spend 5 days due to incipient infections, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you got your medical bills?
Yes, sir, I do. I think that's all of them.
All right,
And there's
thank
a
you.
cover sheet on the back.
Okay. Now, you've made a prima facie case. Let's go to the defendant. What do you have to say about this? Now, you claim, first off, the dog wasn't yours.
No, sir. I was rescuing the dog. I was getting back to health. When I obtained the dog...
From your estranged wife?
Yes, sir.
How old was the dog?
I would say roughly 2 years old.
Well, you took it into your custody and control to help the dog out, right?
Yes, sir.
Brought it over to the plaintiff's house, right?
Yes, sir.
Did you or did you not get any objection from the plaintiff relative to having this dog inside her home?
Well, I kind of pulled on her heartstrings because I know she's an animal lover and kind of manipulated her into it. Being her son, it's sometimes easy to do
Yes,
to
that's
mom.
your mother.
Yes, sir.
So the dog gets loose, your mother gets chewed up, and your position is, it's not my dog, A, B, her insurance should take care of it, why should I get stuck with it?
Well, she shouldn't have jumped in the middle of 2 fighting dogs. My dogs aren't fighting dogs. 2 dogs fighting.
Oh, maybe.
You should not jump in the middle of it.
Well, what is she supposed to do? Let the other one get done in?
I would rather see a dog kill another dog than do this to my mother.
Why did you bring the dog over there?
To rescue him.
Why didn't you do it?
Why didn't I do what, sir?
Rescue the dog.
I did. I was saving him. I
Well,
brought
your
him back
mother's the one that's got the dog at her place. She doesn't want it there.
But she said I could keep him there until
She
I got him
didn't
healthy.
want the dog there. You showed up one day at Mom's place, and when she comes home, there's the dog installed in the secondary division of the backyard. She looks at the dog and says, "It's poor emaciated thing, I have to do something." And you say, "I took advantage of the fact she's an animal lover."
Your Honor, I have a picture of what the dog looked like when
Well,
he
let me
first
see.
came.
But
and,
I mean, he
and
admits
what he looked like a couple days before he attacked me.
Well, I mean,
and this
she...
is the clown picture that he took of him.
Oh, well, I mean, the bottom line is okay. Yeah, lots of ribs showing. What's wrong with your wife here? Why'd she get the dog?
She rescued him.
I believe she came across him and seen the condition he was in.
So she
And-
turned around and gave it to you. Then you take it over to your mom's house.
Well, she brought me to the dog. She brought me the dog to rehabilitate him, get him back to health, re-socializing with other dogs.
But not mine.
Yeah, of all the dogs I had him around, I love that picture. Of all the dogs I had him
You
around,
would. Bat dog. Want to borrow the bat cake? Oh, well, I guess he's not around anymore. All right.
No, sir, he's not. He was
Let's see
destroyed by
that
the...
chart we have. Why did your wife decide to go rescue this dog? Look at it.
She's a dog lover like
Yeah,
both
but
of us
look at
are.
this. And this number over here is just serious injuries, not death, 1,110.
And, Your Honor, the paramedics did say that they were thankful that I got my hands up in front of my face and throat. Otherwise, he would have been burying me in the next few days.
We'll be right back with Judge Joe Brown.
They're medical bills.
What?
They're just medical bills.
Just medical bills.
Yeah, that you don't want to help pay for.
And later today, there was one plastic plate that
How
got
much
melted.
did that one plastic plate cost?
Oh, but it was just from, it was an heirloom.
Heirloom
basically,
plastic plate.
From, no, It's Joe time after this.
We're back with Judge Joe Brown. The plaintiff in this case says against her better judgment, she let her son bring his malnourished pit bull to stay in her home. As soon as the dog was healthy, it knocked the plaintiff to the ground and viciously attacked her. Let's take a look.
Why you take that attitude? That's her problem. She has insurance. By the way, the law is it doesn't have to be the owner to get jacked up for the expenses. If you exercise or have custody of the animal, you're responsible for it. So you're responsible. $20K worth of expenses on the low end, and the bill's still going up. She's still recovering, and Medicare took care of most of that. But we've got $5,700 plus, and Mama's suffering. So what's Mama supposed to do?
They're medical bills.
What?
They're just medical bills.
Just medical bills.
Yeah, that you don't want to help pay for.
What's wrong with you?
This is the disrespect I've been getting from him. And I told him about the bills, and he says, so what? Well, so what? You brought the dog here. But his whole thing is, well, they're medical bills.
Well, how about, since they're just medical bills, you deliver some more pizza? What are you, 38?
Yes, sir.
You got a lot more pizza delivered, but you have $5K worth of medical bills because that's the jurisdictional limit in Texas. Why are you just delivering pizzas?
When I was married, I fell into an addiction, got over my addiction, and now I'm trying to recover and become a better citizen to society.
Well, maybe you better recover a whole lot and get a lot better job than delivering pizzas at almost 40 years old and leave that to the 19 through 23 or 4-year-olds and square yourself away, get a real job, and take care of your mama's bills over here that you're the cause of. Additionally, maybe that attitude reflects why you're in your circumstances. So you get $5,000 in your court cost.
Thank you, Your Honor.
came down to the plaintiff or her pets, and she chose to expose herself to the defendant's pit bull. Her son blames her for that. The judge does not. He'll pay. Now, we're on to the next case.
Please raise your right hand.
Plaintiff Irene Cobb is suing her former roommate for rent and a deposit. Defendant Patricia Reckling says the plaintiff damaged her property.
You are alleging that the defendant wrongfully evicted you, is that right?
Yes, Judge Joe Brown.
All right. How did you two come into acquaintance?
A mutual friend, Judge Joe Brown. I had talked with Pat on the phone a few weeks before I got into town, and on February 5th, I gave her a check for $600, which included $200 deposit and $400 for the first month's rent and utilities. Then on February 6th, some family members and friends of mine helped me move in, and a few days later, Pat was calling my boyfriend our hunk and making insinuations that he was our property, and then she started leaving me little notes like the rug was messed up from the bathroom, and insinuating that I had done it, that I wasn't to use certain towels, that I wasn't to use certain dishes.
Are we talking about a rooming house situation, boarding house?
None of that's true.
I was just renting a room from her, Your Honor,
Boarding
month to
house
month.
situation, all right.
Yeah, she was renting a room. But it's
Continue,
none of that's
please.
true.
When I would be out, Pat would call and ask me to pick up things at the grocery store, milk, orange juice, just different small things, and I picked them up and brought them home, light bulbs and things, and she said she would take it out of the next month's rent. She would deduct it from the next month's rent.
Well, you weren't there a month.
No, sir.
She was there for 3 weeks.
The notes got ridiculous as all get out. My boyfriend and I did spend a couple of nights there, but mostly we stayed out. We went out places. It just got
ridiculous.
progressively worse until this particular Sunday. I was away from home all day. We had been home about 10 minutes when she started banging on the door and yelling that she wanted to talk to both of us. And she started yelling and screaming about us opening and closing the microwave too much and using the wrong glasses.
You were damaging
And-
my property.
She said she was so mad she could take both of us out. And then she yelled, "Get out of my house," which we both got up and went in and got some of my personal things out of the room. And as I started to leave, she said, "Have the rest of your stuff out of here first thing in the morning." And I said I couldn't do that without help because I had 2 things that needed help lifting. I couldn't lift it by myself. So I went back over there the following Tuesday morning, and the locks had been changed.
So you're seeking, what is it, $548 in total?
Yes, sir. 204 was for the unused rent, $200 deposit, and court costs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Sonia. Now, let's go to the defendant. What do you have to say, ma'am? Your defense, please.
Yes. When I met Irene, I had only known her for 5 minutes when her and her boyfriend came to my home to rent a room from me. And I gave her the contract to sign, which I have right here, and she refused to sign the contract. She wouldn't even listen to the rules. And in the rules, it said respect my privacy, my property, not to have unknown men in the apartment. She had come in with just a suitcase, no personal items at all. She didn't bring any linen, any towels, and I
Well,
told
didn't
her
that
she
sort of come with the board?
Well, I gave her what she needed.
We'll be back with more Judge Joe Brown in a moment.
This was an heirloom microwave. And it was from my grandfather, too. And I've got a picture of it.
Closed captioning sponsored by.
We're back with Judge Joe Brown. The plaintiff in this case says soon after she moved in with her new roommate, things went downhill. She says the defendant started laying claim to her boyfriend and leaving her weird notes. Let's take a look.
How do we get a lockout?
I would come home from work, and her boyfriend and her would be in the kitchen cooking like Martha Stewart. I mean, she's from the South, and she likes to cook from scratch, and that's fine. And so she was like cooking.
Kitchens.
In the kitchen.
Everything's supposed to be microwavable,
No,
you know,
which
and
was fine. But what happened
frozen dinners.
is
I
I
mean,
had
that's
things
what you
that were
use
in the
kitchens
oven
for.
that she didn't know about it, and I had stored them in there. And
Stored what things?
I had stored some bowls, some plastic bowls in my oven because I don't cook that much. And she turned the oven on to preheat it, and everything had melted. So when I came home,
So you had cooked plastic bowls
yeah,
for dinner.
I mean, I had plates that were
Your Honor.
with vinyl sauce.
She just said to me, "I'm sorry, but I melted your items."
Your Honor,
and
there was one
I
plastic
did not
bowl.
interrupt her, so I don't think it's right for her to interrupt me.
How
Let
many
me-
bowls got melted?
There was one plate, and there was one plastic plate that
How
got
much
melted.
did that one plastic plate cost?
Oh, but it was just from it was an heirloom.
Heirloom
basically,
plastic plate.
from no, I'm seriously saying that it was given to me by my grandfather, and that's what I mean by it was
Your
sentimental.
grandfather gave your grandmother a
They give
plastic
it
plate.
to me, yeah, and it meant something to me, and I didn't say anything to her about it. I just figured it was just something stupid that she did.
I'm astonished that you said that.
The fact is that was one of the destructions that she'd done. The other one was I had a microwave that was on top of a dryer, and she kept on moving the microwave to adjust the dryer knobs, and every time that they opened up the microwave, they would take the
Why is the
scrape
microwave on top of the dryer?
Because it's let me tell you, I've got pictures of it right here, Judge
And
Joe
the
Brown.
plastic plate heirloom is in the oven.
Is a very
That
big.
did not get used much.
This was an heirloom microwave. And it was from my grandfather, too. I've got a picture of it right here.
What were you going to do? Donate it to the Smithsonian?
It was 50 years
You got
old. It was about 50 years old.
part of the early modern American history
Everything
wing.
in my apartment is an heirloom, including myself. I love old things, and I use old things. I don't buy new things. I can't afford it.
When was this microwave made?
This microwave right here is a General Electric.
When was it made?
And it was probably made 50 years ago. When they first made them. Like one of the originals. I've got pictures. But it still works, and it was heavy. And anyway, she scraped it across the dryer and removed all the paint on my dryer.
Why did you change the locks on the door?
I changed the locks on the door because when I had gone to her boyfriend, which we haven't even gotten into, that was one of the reasons why I didn't like the idea of them being there every single night, because they took over my kitchen and my living room, and I was the one that was going into the bedroom every single night.
You're the one that was alone.
I was the one that was going to my room, yeah. Well, I wasn't going to stay out there with them.
Your boyfriend's what, late 50s, early 60s?
Her boyfriend is in the 60s.
58, Your Honor.
Okay, 60s. Well, that's
58.
right up everybody's alley.
Yeah.
We're not robbing the
Except not
cradle.
my
We got a
alley.
grown man.
He invaded my privacy. He was really a creep.
Judge Joe Brown makes his ruling after this.
Did an affair cost you money and you have the video to prove it? Call 877-JOE'S-LAW or visit JudgeJoeBrown.com.
You can't evict a rent-paying tenant in the middle of the month, change the locks without getting the FED and going to court.
She had the option to stay or go, and she decided her and her
Kind of
boyfriend.
hard to stay when the locks have been changed.
No, I hadn't changed the locks then.
That's okay.
Ma'am,
All right.
listen to the ruling.
That's $404, and you will be awarded your court cost.
Thank you, Judge Joe Brown.
This courtroom is now in recess.
The litigants in this case had very different versions of what happened when they were living under one roof as roommates. The judge found the defendants a tad more madcap. She's going to have to pay points. We'll be right back. We're back. The plaintiff says her temporary living arrangement turned into a strange conflict between herself and the defendant. She says the defendant became a little too interested in her business with her boyfriend, and she was forced out. The defendant will pay for that eviction.
To contact this court, check out our website at judgejoebrown.com.